Christian parenting. Hey friends, welcome back to the Monica Swanson podcast. I'm so excited to get to continue on in this month of all things women's wellness. I've loved hearing that so many of you love these topics. You know I do too. And today is another girlfriend chat where my friend Jessica Smartt joins me to simply talk about walking versus running. Now, if you tune in to all the different fitness chat out there, there are big opinions on all of these things. And Jessica and I are really sharing from our experience. We share a little bit of research, but I'm going to link to some helpful articles and a lot more information in show notes. So be sure to go over to monicaswanson.com/walking-running, where you can find all those links. And also, I'd love to hear from you over there. Leave me a comment. Tell me about your experience or thoughts or opinion on walking versus running. Now, Jessica and I have a great time. We go down a few minor rabbit trails where Jessica shares about her weighted vest, which, hello, I'm ordering one now. Also about using a continuous glucose monitor. Since last week, I talked with Lindsay about fitness trackers. That comes up today too. But again, I hope this just feels like you're out for a walk with Jessica and I as we chat about all of these things. So hope it inspires some good conversation, food for thought for your own fitness plan. And just a reminder on all these topics related to women's wellness, this isn't about achieving a certain body or a weight. This is about taking care of our bodies as God's temple so that we can pour out and serve those around us so that we can live a long and healthy life to God's glory. Amen. All right, guys, I'll have a few final words to say at the end, but without further ado, let's jump in and talk about walking versus running. I hope you enjoy. Jessica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It is so good to be with you. You're one of my favorite people to talk to. So I just love that we can do this and invite anyone else who wants to listen.
Right? It's so true. I really love chatting with you. And we've mentioned in a previous podcast, I'll link to other times you've been on, but that we got to spend real life time together. And part of that time, we went running and had some adventures, which we mentioned in the last podcast. But I love a friend who I have so many different things in common with, from homeschooling to our love of running to our faith. And you are just one of my favorite writers. So I'll have all the links to places people can track you down and read your writing, hear more from you, and especially, guys listening, Jessica has one of the very best email newsletters. So I'm going to link to that. And I'm going to encourage everybody to get on her. You send them out, twice a month, right?
Yes. Thank you. You're so sweet. It's do always work hard.
Good. You do. And yet it's short and sweet. If you pretty much every time Jessica mentions a book, I just buy it because I just know it's going to be so good. So with that, for anyone who hasn't met you before here on the podcast, can you just give a quick introduction?
Yes. So yes, I am an author and a homeschooling mom of 3. I also help manage our homeschool co-op, which is a super fun venture. I live in North Carolina and I live on a family farm, which you probably can't see through the window, but I have my 2 sisters and my parents across the street with 10 kids and lots of cats, a few horses, dogs, chickens,
Such a dream.
So many chickens. We have that in common too.
Yes, except I don't have the family compound. I love that part of your life.
You could build it.
Maybe. That's
Maybe
hashtag goals. No, eventually I would love that with my own boys. So fun. And go ahead and just name the books you've written and the basics.
Yeah, so I have Let Them Be Kids and Memory Making Mom. Let Them Be Kids would be a great little summer read by the pool or the beach. Well, they both would be. And then I have a book coming out in September, which I'm super excited about with Tyndale. I'll be announcing and releasing the cover shortly, so you can, hop on that list that Monica mentioned to hear about it. I'm really passionate about this one and have just worked so hard. It's very close to my heart. So that's a little bit of what I'm doing. You can find me at Instagram too, Jessica.Smartt with 2 T's.
Because you're extra smart.
Extra smart. Everyone makes that joke.
Sorry.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Well, it's easy to remember that way. I love it. Okay. Well, like I said, we got to go for a run together. So when I was planning this Women's Wellness Month on the podcast and thinking about some topics I haven't covered before, running, walking, exercise is just so near and dear to my heart. And I thought, okay, this is a fun one to just have a girlfriend chat. Who could join me? And you are the very first person to come to mind because I know that you've incorporated running into your life very naturally. You Don't call yourself an expert. You're not like a professional runner. Last week on the podcast, everyone, if you missed it, go back and listen as Lindsay Hine, who is like a serious runner and a running podcaster. She and I talked about fitness trackers. And so with that, it's a great lead into today as we're going to talk about running and walking. And I'm sure this could lead us down all different rabbit trails. But to add to your little intro, I don't know, when did you start running? Like, what's your kind of running, walking, exercise background?
Yes, and actually that's a really great lead in because the fitness trackers, which you and I have talked about, different biofeedback, biometrics, all of that field, is a huge story in my health journey recently. Because previously I considered myself a runner, I would say. I would also say Monica's faster than I am, so I can actually, statistically prove it because it happened.
Stop.
And I have a lot going on in life. I feel like I have struggled with fatigue on and off as a mom. And I started running in college, and it does give me life, and it is really fun. And I love that feeling of runner's high. But what I've struggled with is there were seasons where I just felt so depleted. And I looked at workouts like you had to have a really strong workout, and you did that like once a day, and hopefully every day, but maybe a couple times a week, you had like a really good workout. And that's how I felt good about myself. But if I got sick or was just really going through a funk or life was really busy, then I couldn't, and I would get behind, and then I'd get slow, and I'd feel bad about myself. And so I love running. It is amazing. I'm still pro running. But a year ago or so, my sister started wearing continuous glucose monitors. So we used the Libre, and they showed me how they were tracking their little stats. And I just got kind of curious. I was like, I want in on the fun. It has a social media component to it, which is really weird that you can like see what other people are eating and what it does.
Wow. That's cool.
So I was like, I'm going to get one of these. And I thought I had low blood sugar, which, spoiler, did not have low blood sugar.
Wow.
But I would feel really like I get hungry all the time, and I would feel really like weak before a meal. So I was like, I want to see what's happening on the screen. So I learned so much about myself with this Libre and would highly recommend. They run different specials and stuff. But even if you have to pay for it out of pocket for a couple months, it's not something you need to have your whole life, but it was the most eye-opening thing. So I learned, which we're not going to go into all of that, but one thing I learned is
I'm kind of tempted to actually. Like, I love this topic. We could have a whole nother, because
we really could.
I forgot
have you
about
worn them?
that.
I can't remember.
After I talked to you, I did, but I only wore mine for just under 2 weeks, and I was like,
yeah,
okay,
you almost need to.
Yeah,
so
here's
the thing that I learned. It's very different at different points in your cycle. And, I know different life phases and as a woman's body progresses, but like it is very different at different points. So you almost have to at least wear it for 2, I would say, to get the whole cycle.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. So highly recommend that. One thing I learned, there's all these little hacks. Like you would eat carbs and your spike goes up, which is normal. Sometimes it goes up more than is normal, but there's all these hacks to bring it down after eating. And one hack is to your movement after you eat. So I started incorporating movement into my life more. Whereas before, like I said, I viewed it as like one hard workout, and then the rest of the day was just like normal day. Like not really, I'm moving around, but I'm not really trying to be active. Every time I ate, I would notice that if I got up and moved around or did some squats or did some lunges or took a quick walk around the block, like it would immediately make my blood sugar go down. Wow. So since I'm neurotic, I wanted to keep doing that.
I love
and you see what happens. And so I'd track it for a while. And after a couple of months, I was like, I actually feel really different about life. And I even just started walking. That was my workout. So we have a little path around here that's about a mile, and I would walk it a couple times and feel like, okay, I'm not going to go run or do the Peloton. Like that was kind of my workout. And what I noticed is that I was having all of these positive effects on my health that I never have. And it's now been long enough that I feel like I can say like, well, also there's so many stats, and maybe you can share some of us that back up what I'm saying. But I clinically observed it in myself that, first of all, I would do walking, and then I was doing like little strength training stuff. When I say little, I literally mean like 3 sets of 12 with a kettlebell. And that was it. Like I'm not doing a hardcore workout, but my body was like stronger and more toned than I have been since I have been a mom. literally with just walking and doing like stretches and lunges and lifting with a little kettlebell. So second, I noticed that I was having a lot more energy in life. And I'm like, how does this even make that big of a difference? I'm just walking. Like walking is so lame. I'm not even doing anything hard.
Right.
But I like literally have felt like the strongest I have in a really long time. And then third, and I think this is most, which this can be a lot of different factors, but I have struggled with anxiety on and off for a very long time. And I feel like this has made a noticeable difference in my mental health. And again, I feel comfortable saying that since there are so many studies that back that up. Totally. I don't know how it works. It seems like this surely can't be doing all of this stuff. But it actually, I have noticed it in real time, like not only the spikes, and that was the prompt of making me be more active. So part of it is probably I'm moving more during the day versus seeing workouts as one long, hard thing for like 40 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
But that's a really long answer. I just have so many thoughts.
Okay, that is all super good. So do you ever run anymore, or are you pretty much strictly walking now?
I haven't in a while. I mean, I do like it, but I just kind of, so when I felt like, okay,
it's working.
And also like, so if those days that I'm like, I feel like I want more, like my body's in a good spot, I wanted more of a challenge, I bought a weighted vest. And then I walk longer with a weighted vest. And I honestly feel like I'm getting, now I don't think I'm saying goodbye to running forever, but so there's a book called Born to, no gosh, I should have done my homework. We're going to look this up and let them know. It's a book that the subtitle is something like Deception of the Running Industry. I know that you and I have talked about this. The book title is,
read it, but I've heard of it.
So I listened to the podcast, which is kind of the same thing as reading it, right? No, I'm just kidding. But he's kind of just pointing out that we feel like a workout should be hard, like really hard, make us like really feel stressed.
Yes.
And maybe that's not always the case.
Yes.
Now, I also want to say a huge disclaimer of like, this is very individual. And I have really good friends that do CrossFit every day and they feel so great about their life and they are so strong and they have all these muscles. And so I'm not saying this is a story for everybody. I'm just telling you what happened with me is I don't miss running. I feel really good. My body feels good. Like, why would I?
Yes.
Oh, anyway, back to the book. He also mentions the stress that running can have on joints and stuff and injuries. It does have a lot of injuries. So I'm not like anti-running, but at this point in life, I'm kind of like, I don't miss it as much as I thought I would.
Okay, there's so much good stuff in what you just shared. I love your story. And I do think it's counterintuitive. Like most of us think workouts have to be painful and hard. We have to sweat really hard and get the heart rate really high. So what I love is because there is now data, there's now research, and what your experience is backed up. It's not just your experience. So I love that. And even last week with Lindsay, I talked about how, just like you, I used to do that morning workout. And then it's easy for me. Actually, I mean, I get up and do laundry, I make dinner, but I sit a lot because I'm writing, I'm podcasting, I'm doing all the things. So just like you, I used to do that isolated workout and then spend most of the day sedentary. And what a difference it makes when you are just intentional about getting up, moving around. I spend a lot of time in the golf cart with my son. So the days that I get out and I probably look like a weirdo, but I'm out on the golf course, I'll just stand there and do some walking lunges.
We're the same person. My husband is like, stop, you're so weird.
You're so weird, but it really makes a difference. And Lindsay was talking about how she does a workout and then does a second, I forget what she called it, but basically something that is like leisure activity. So whether that's playing tennis in the evening, going for an after dinner walk, just doing something intentional that's a second movement, but not necessarily like a workout. So that's really interesting to hear. And I'm going to circle back to that weighted vest because we're going to get to that later in this conversation. Let's just touch on, I will unpack a few of the things. I mean, there's so much information online. I know it can get really overwhelming, but no doubt walking has so many benefits. And we know it's stress relieving. It is easier on the joints. I'm going to link to an article I found. I wear an Oura ring like I mentioned last week, but I found an article over on the Oura website that talks about how walking gives your body time to rest and digest. I kind of went on a tangent last week about the heart rate variability. So if anyone missed it and is interested, go back because I won't try to do that again. But walking's really good for your heart rate variability because it activates your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. In fact, if you're in that low to medium heart rate zone, this athletic trainer person said the more time you can spend in this state, the healthier you will be. So that includes housework. That includes walking. That includes just general movement. Anytime you can just be active, that's actually a state we should be in as much of the day as possible. So I love that science is really showing what you've experienced to be true, right?
I do love walking. I think the ideal is, I read Peter, I don't know how you say his name, Attia, Outlive, and it's about like longevity and strength. Mm-hmm. And he, like you were talking about the zones, his ideal would be, would that be zone 2, what you were just saying?
Pretty much, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Zone 2.
But so you would spend a lot of time in zone 2, but it is important for your body to also go under this stress and get up to like, I don't know if it's zone 4 or 5. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I meant to say like, yes, it's amazing. Like walking is great, but I think the ideal is that you would then stress your body out.
Exactly.
Periodically.
Good. Okay, I love that because that running, but are getting your heart rate up into those higher zones. And this is where I think we can all get confused because you listen to one person, they're going to be like, I mean, so many people right now are saying middle-aged women, perimenopause, menopause, walk and lift weights. But science shows we ought to get that heart rate up there at least a couple times a week. On this Aura website, it was saying that higher intensity workouts, it's going to definitely just boost your cardiovascular health. And we want strong hearts, right? So boost your cardiovascular health. Oh, it helps you deliver more oxygen to your muscles and increases capillary density. So basically all the things that feed your heart, everything gets stronger and healthier if you can get it, your heart rate up there a little bit a few times a week. It also promotes fat burning, benefits your hormones. So my goal is to get into zone 4 for 10 minutes twice a week. I think that's pretty doable. And if anyone doesn't know how to even figure out your zones, if you're wearing a tracker, that's going to do it for you. But if you're not, over in show notes, I'm going to put a way to find your maximum heart rate. There's a little calculation you do. It's like 220 minus your age is your max heart rate, and then your zones go by that. So I'm going to put a link in show notes, so don't stress if anybody doesn't know how to find your zones. But yeah, just getting up there and getting a good huff and puff, right? It's that where you're actually starting to sweat, you're working hard. If 2 to 3 times a week you can get up there, I think that is ideal.
Yeah, I totally am on board with that, what you're saying. We have some hills, so sometimes I'll kind of go, I love that you wear the Aura because I don't do the whole like counting. That feels like a lot of work. If I had something that was tracking it, I would probably be more motivated to check those boxes.
Yeah, I absolutely am more motivated because I can click on a little thing on my Aura app and it will track. And so this morning, in preparation for this chat, my son Levi and I went for a run together. We didn't have much time, so I'm like, 20 minutes, let's go. And he's starting to, and I want to ask you about that too, how this impacts your kids. If you're having them start learning to run and walk at a younger age. But Levi's a golfer. And more recently, he's agreed to start adding to his workouts just to be more well-rounded. And I'm like, buddy, if you have good endurance, it's going to help you on those 18 whole days where you're walking a lot. And so he started running and we went 20 minutes and I got back and I could see, yes, I hit that zone for about 8 minutes. Close enough. I'm happy because we went straight uphill. So anyway.
Well, my oldest boys play competitive soccer. And my husband does F3. Is F3 in Hawaii? Have you heard of that?
I mean, I haven't heard of it.
It stands for like Faith Family Fitness. So it's a typically men's like free workout group. So he gets up at 4:45 and works out. And my daughter
does he go somewhere like in person or is this online?
Right, yeah. So they meet at like a park.
That's so cool.
It's super cool. It's very cool. And it's a really strong community. Yeah, I believe it was founded in North Carolina where I live, but I'm pretty sure it's national. And my daughter is 10, but she's also pretty sporty. So basically, if we work out, I am the weakest link. We raced in like a little like family like Olympics. Yeah. And they were all like, Mom, don't be the reason we lose this. Like,
stop. You're kidding. That surprises me.
Yeah, because I'm just not really very fast. But from an early age, like we've hiked together. That's part of our family culture is like, we're going to do this. And I think they just naturally maybe are.
One time that I will say I've been intentional is I think when my older boys hit their kind of maybe 14, 15, and they weren't competing in surfing anymore. One of them played a little soccer in high school, but they kind of didn't have like an organized sport. That's when I said, hey, this is a good time to start doing something that's like a lifelong sport. So I encourage them. I'm like, nobody loves running at first. I don't think. I haven't met many people that just love to run. But I said, if you can just be disciplined to go for a couple miles, a couple times a week, eventually you do learn to like it. Most people, I know someone out there is listening and they're like, I hate running. But I was like, if you can swim, run, bike, if there's something you can do just to stay active, it will benefit you for a lifetime. So I did really encourage that. And I'm glad I did, because now they're adulting in California and both of them run, they bike, they do everything. So I think that was helpful. And I do encourage parents to make sure your kids do something. They don't have to be in an organized sport, but make sure they're moving every day. And as they get older, it's helpful to adopt like a good lifelong activity that you can stick with.
Yeah. And back to the trackers. I think if you have kids, like elementary age kids, that is such a great way, because they want to get their steps and they want to, track and notice what they're doing. You have to be careful, because some of them have, I think, unnecessarily tech built-in wire, like there'll be games or they can and I'm like, I try to strip that all off. I mean, you don't need like a walking game on your, like, we're just tracking your steps. And they also like tracking their sleep, which is really cool, like to see, how many hours they slept and are they well recovered. And
so you just gave me a big idea. Like my adult sons wear trackers, but my 14-year-old, that is really a great idea to motivate him and to help him get better sleep. I haven't even thought about getting my teenager a tracker. But now I think I want to.
I don't have like the top of the line, just very simple, but it does motivate them, I think.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up, one thing I found that I will share in show notes is a way to kind of combine walking, running, or at least walking with some way of getting your heart rate up. In the article I found, there's a really cool kind of weekly schedule recommended that you can adjust, but that helps me to look at it and go, oh, now I see how that would play out, rather than some vague idea out there of like combining different heart rates and all that. So I'm going to share that. But first, let's touch on some of the things we can do to maybe maximize those walks. You have a weighted vest. I want to get one. Tell us about it. Do you love it? Do you recommend it?
So I had a couple friends who had them, and I've tried on maybe 3 or 4. I will say, like, that is a product that, so it's a higher ticket item, and that's why I delayed getting it for a while. Honestly, you and I have been on the same page with our budget, trying to be like very strategic with what we're spending and all the categories. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm taking this out of medical, which we have quite a surplus in there for emergencies. Because I was like, all the research, like I have a high risk of osteoporosis in my family, and just from different factors. And so I was like, you know what? It was, I think, $55 off of Amazon. I just took it out of that category. I thought, this is really impactful to my health. This isn't just like a little recreational toy. I think this will have a big impact on me. So I tried on a couple different friends and then got a recommendation, and I'm happy to send it to you, Monica, that you could link to it.
Please.
I ended up I tried on a 20-pound that my friend had, and I felt like that was maybe just a little more hardcore for the walk. I think I can see the perks of having that. I'm a smaller frame. So to me, the 16 is perfect.
Okay.
My mom, who's 73, has I think it's a 10-pound, and she really likes that one. But I strap it on, I would say 90% of the time when I'm doing my walking. And it's just awesome. So I can't say enough good things about it. You can obviously do it, like then add it to your workouts and do lunges, and that's, I can definitely feel it, right?
Wow.
Like
and when you take it off, you probably feel like you're floating.
Yes, absolutely. So cool. It really was also a very strong lesson in like, I know that you can, like, if people put on extra weight, it just made me think like, wow, like this is a hard work on my body. Like motivation to, if you had like extra pounds to lose, I was like, just adding just this, like really is stressful moving around. So it was just a powerful reminder of that. But yeah, I cannot say enough good things about it. I started the walks just, without it and just going around the hills. But then when I felt like I needed something more. And the other thing about walking we haven't necessarily touched on, but like I just have loved, like, without being weird, because I'm really not weird, but like there is some spiritual component to it. And just like, not that I'm one with nature, but just like you observe things. When you're running, it's more like But I will notice like the seasonality of things, and like there was just a little blades of grass there and now there's a lot. And, I notice how the rabbits act like in that, different seasons. And like, it's just a higher, I think that affects you on more levels than you realize.
Yeah.
And just the beauty. I mean, I'm more rural, but you can notice those things in a city just as much.
Absolutely.
The changing of things. And I think there's something to the sky and just being outside. Like it affects us.
Yes.
In a way that maybe some, indoors or even like a real aggressive outside workout, we wouldn't notice.
Right. And I think with that topic, it's good. My son and I were just talking today about the runner's high. And I don't know if in walking you really get the same level of endorphin kind of flood that you do in a run, which I do love. And I get a lot of my creative ideas when I'm running. But you're absolutely right. When I get a creative idea when I'm running, I often start walking because I need to like process it. And I can't process as well. So I think there's huge benefits for, our mental state in both running and walking. But I love that you shared that because I agree. And when I'm traveling, I love to go for walks because I'm super nosy and I like to look at homes and I'm just so interested in what different neighborhoods are like. And so, yeah, I like to walk for that reason too.
That's funny.
But with your weighted vest, some people wear the wrist or ankle weights. I guess that's just a matter of preference. I don't know.
I tried the ankles and really did not love them at all. I will say they were my son's, so maybe they weren't my right size. But I almost felt like I was straining things. The weight was a different, like with the weighted vest, and you do want to make sure that the fit is correct because it can strain your back if not.
Right.
And so just reading reviews on Amazon, I think honestly is helpful. But yeah, I did not love the weight. I thought I would really like the weighted ankle. I have not tried the arms, but the vest that I have, you can actually subtract and add weight. So you can remove some of the pockets or adjust the location of them if you're noticing pull. It also came with pads because as I said, you don't want to strain and then end up with another injury on top. But yeah, I'm sure I know people who like those. That wasn't something that I was like, oh, I want to try that again.
Right. No, that makes sense. And maybe it is more for leg strengthening. You can lie down and do floor work with the ankle weights and stuff. But I could see where walking, it could definitely be a concern that it could cause you to walk differently or strain the wrong muscles. I don't know. But all that's super interesting. I'm going to order a vest. I've been wanting to. So now you just pushed me over the edge. I'm going to do it.
You should.
I'm excited. Well, this is all super fun stuff. And I do think at the end of the day, as I've done my research and reading and talking to different people, variety is the spice of life. And so I'm going to say keep walking, but we all probably would benefit from getting the heart rate up a little bit. And the other thing we didn't really go into other than your quick sample is the weight work, resistance training, those things we know super important, especially as we hit those middle age years, which I'm a few years ahead of you. So I have been working on at least twice, but usually 3 times a week, adding some weights to my workouts. And it's short and sweet, but I am going a little heavier than I used to. Trying to really challenge my muscles. And so that's been really fun for me this year too. It's been an exciting year of kind of switching things up with my workouts.
Yeah, I mean, working out is so personalized and I love that. But maybe one of the overarching principles or takeaways is to listen to your body. And if you're pushing your body and it's not bringing you life or you're feeling strained or you're feeling tired, maybe, walking is a good option to try for a season.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that it doesn't have to be hard in the miserable, flogging yourself sort of way. Maybe there are some benefits to walking. And, in the book, he says our humanity across time, they just walked all the time. They walked a lot more than we did. And then every once in a while they would sprint to get away from a bear or sprint to go get food. So he was kind of setting that up as the paradigm of you do some, intense exercises, but mainly you're just active and you're just walking more.
Yes.
And I certainly have seen that benefit in my own life.
Yes, I love that. And I mentioned last week, but again, I did get the walking treadmill to have at my desk, which I can't do all day long, but certain things I do, I can use it. And it's fun to go, I just fit a mile in. It's just
kind of amazing.
really helpful way to add more movement to the day. So, well, Jessica, such a fun conversation, and we could probably go down many more rabbit trails, but it's so much fun to touch on this. And I'm going to put a bunch of links over in show notes. I'm going to put a sample week of how you might combine different heart rate zones, and I'll put links to some of the articles. Again, I recommend you join Jessica's email list. So tell everybody where they can find you again and follow you and join that bi-monthly email list.
Yeah, so I just list all the sorts of things that I'm loving that are giving me life as a mom, because to me, it's all about just empowering us to love our families. We want to live long and strong and healthy lives so that we can live out God's calling. That is the purpose. It's not to get fit and tone and back and look like 22-year-old selves. We can't really do that.
Good luck with that.
But I'm always on the lookout for things in life that just are going to make our lives easier or help us to be able to serve and love our families. So that's mainly what I'm sharing. Thank you, Monica, for your kind words about my newsletter. And you guys can sign up in the link that's in the show notes. And then you can find me over at Instagram at jessica.smart with 2 T's. My books are on Amazon, and Let Them Be Kids and Memory Making Mom. So those are the main things.
Love it. Love it. And I'm just going to say I got a sneak peek at her upcoming book, and it is so good. Keep your ears tuned because she is going to be announcing it pretty soon. Yeah.
You're very kind. Yes, very soon.
True. Awesome. Well, so much fun chatting with you. I'm sure we'll find a good excuse to have you back. But for now, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I would sure love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your experience as a runner or a walker, or maybe neither, but maybe you're open to trying it and you want to talk about it. Well, show notes are where we can have those conversations. So head over to monicaswanson.com/walking-running and leave your comment. And also while you're over there, grab some of those articles, check out the 1-week sample plan for a way you might incorporate a little bit of high intensity and a little bit of walking all into 1 week. I think that's a helpful little weekly planner. All right. So thanks for being here. We have 1 more week ahead of women's wellness. So spread the word, come back next week, and then we're going to close that door and move on to other topics. So thanks for being here for this. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, aloha.